So this is the 9th chapter. The 9th chapter, in the last chapter, which is chapter 8, we talked about offenses to be avoided. However, I think there were 2 offenses which were left. No? So we'll complete that and then we will go to chapter 9 today. There were 2 offenses that we did not complete. So which one was that? Anyone knows? Last. We talked about to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. We stopped there, no?
Only the one last. 10th one needs to be.
So the 10th offense to the. So there are various offenses to the holy name. Just to recollect, what are the offenses that we discussed last time? To blaspheme the devotees, to consider the names of, to be equal to or independent of Lord Vishnu, then to disobey the, to blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature in pursuance of the Vedic version, Hare Krishna as an imagination, to give some mundane interpretation to the holy names of the Lord, to not commit sinful activities on the strength of the chant, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name, to instruct the
To get to heavenly planets.
that also was there. Ritualistic activities, the karma kanda. To instruct a faithless person in the glories of the holy names of the Lord. Okay. So these are all, if we are not careful about any of these offenses, then our own creeper of bhakti will dry up. So the last one is 9th. We did 9th. To instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. We did that also. I still remember an example which I gave, that during the when we are new in Krishna consciousness, we like to catch anyone and everyone. Very seriously we take Yara Te Eke Tare Ka Krishna Upadesh. But after that we understand that instruction is there in spirit, but then we have to exercise discretion in who to give Krishna Katha to and who not to. Okay? So, Krishna consciousness, what is the right time to give someone Krishna consciousness? Huh? Correct. So, the people are in the right frame of mind to take Krishna consciousness usually when they are faced with some great challenge in life, because it is at that point in time that we realize that deha patya kalatra adishu atma sainyeshva asatva api tesham pramatto nidanam pashyan apina pashyati. Srimad Bhagavatam, Sukadeva Goswami is telling Maharaj Parikshit, Maharaj Parikshit is asking a question. What is the duty of a man who is about to die? No, it's not that, Parikshit Maharaj was the one who was about going to die. This question is for all of us, because we all can die anytime. So therefore, the answer, as part of the answer, Sukadeva Goswami is saying that one should not rely too much in this material world upon fallible soldiers. Asatva Sainya. Like, who are the Asatva Sainya? Deha. Deha means our own body. Apatya. Kalatkara. Wife and children. One cannot depend on one's happiness on these fallible soldiers. Right? Because ये सब कभी भी जिंदगी में साथ न दे शायद. Like that. Okay. So we cannot depend on these entities. If we try to derive happiness out of familial relationships in this material world, then we will be utterly disappointed. This Srimad Bhagavatam 2nd canto itself is declaring. So therefore, when people are faced with, when life is down, then usually people take to Krishna Bhakti. I remember I took to Krishna consciousness when at the worst period of my life. Okay. That misery came through another fallible soldier called as office. Okay. Office colleagues. For me, problem came through office colleagues when I took Krishna consciousness seriously. Tab tak, ya to not going here or going out from here. But when like, what's his name? Our Bhakti Vishramba Madhav Maharaj said, when life gives you lemons, then you make lemon juice and drink. Like that. So, when life gives us such troubles, then it is usually easier to come to Krishna consciousness. However, it is also true that when someone is too miserable, I mean, बहुत ज़्यादा भी है, then some people actually do not come because बहुत ज़्यादा है. And then when life is, everything is going very well, first class life चल रहा है, बहुत इतना अच्छा चल रहा है कि I am not, why should I think of Krishna? So both are there. Does it make sense? Someone who is living in the footpath is also saying, क्या है, छोड़ो, कुछ भगवान, what is the use? I am living in footpath. So then he will also not take suffering. For him, do vakta roti is a big problem. And for someone who is, living an aristocratic life, for him, he says, what is the problem in material life? Maza to aa raha hai. Takleef kya hai? What is the Tamil song? I remember. Alagana manaivi, anbane tunaivi. What is that song? Correct. Amaindale perimbame. I don't know. Kalyana male. Correct. So, beautiful wife. Alagane manaivi. And then? Very good. She is beautiful wife also, affectionate be on top of that. Then one does not feel that material life mein koi takleef hai. Right? But we have to understand that nobody is going to, wife cannot even come till the graveyard. Darwaje se, theek hai. Ram Nam. That is how all of, end is like that in this life. So therefore no point in relying on this fallible solution. So the point is that when a person is too happy also, then we have to judge the person. Will he accept or he will not accept? For example, if someone is growing, someone has got excellence award. Okay, if that person is going to become now president of the company. If you go and give Krishna consciousness, less likely that they will take it, because they have never seen failures. They are only seeing success, 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 success. On the other hand, if you go and so they don't have any reason at that point in time to turn to the Lord for anything. Their dependence is not there on the Lord. Right? Actually they are dependent on the Lord because they are getting the results of their good karma. But they don't understand that. They will say that mehnat kiya in bazuon se, they will put dialogue. I am a self-made man. They'll attribute the results to the cause which is their own hard work and intelligence and effort. They forget from where who has given them intelligence, they forget that. They'll say that I studied so hard, therefore I am in the position where I am. But so many people study so hard. Are they all in that position? So they don't understand that. That, yes, we think that the results of our activities are based on our activities. But then there are so many people who do those activities and don't get that result. Then why did you get that result? So that people don't understand. So when people are in that, we say taan mein hai in Hindi. I don't know what to say in English for that. Taan mein hai, kaun sa asman pe? Saatve asman pe. Taan mein hai. Cloud 9. Yeah, very good. When people are walking on cloud 9, then they don't want to listen anything about Bhagwan. Okay. So to instruct a faithless person, so we have to know the timing when to introduce Krishna consciousness. Best is people who are kabhi khushi, kabhi gham, like that. Those are the best people who will be conducive to hearing Krishna consciousness. Okay. Who have problems in life, but who also who hope can be given. Because this is a fact. This is not some what is that? What do you call that as emotional? What is it? Speakers? Inspirational talk. Devotees are not inspirational speakers, who will give some, who can captivate the audience by the flowery language, and then people will say like that. No. This is a fact. This is Srimad Bhagavatam. This is reality. What we are discussing is reality. That in this material world there is no hope for permanent happiness, but one can get that person permanent happiness only by escaping the cycle of birth, disease, old age and death, or immunizing oneself while living in this planet. Then also no problem. For example, a Jivan Mukta doesn't have any problem. A person who is liberated while in this material world can see misery all around, but he is not impacted by it. Just like a person who is falling down at 9.8 meters per second square, acceleration is free fall, is holding on to a branch. It doesn't mean that 9.8 is not acting on him. It is still acting on him, but he is not falling down because he has held to something. Okay, so that is the power of bhakti. It can immunize you from the design of the material world. Okay, or better, leave the material world and go to the spiritual world. So then we have to really understand the mood of the person who is receiving this instruction and see, okay, is this the right time to give this person Krishna consciousness or nay? Okay. But never to feed a child who is already vomiting. Correct? Khana hi padega. Acha hai. Vegetables are good for us. No, not like that. So not to give overdose to a person who cannot take this message. So we have to really give measured doses of Krishna consciousness. That is an expert preacher, expert cultivator, expert counselor. So this skill needs to be picked up by. Otherwise, we are actually going to be cheapening the holy name. अरे करो ना यार, प्लीज करो ना कृष्णा. अरे यार तुम लोग परेशान मत करो यार मेरे को. जिंदगी में पहले भी बहुत प्रॉब्लम है. ऊपर से तुम लोग बोलते हैं हरे कृष्णा चैंटिंग करने का. So what will happen is that you are cheapening the holy name. You are cheapening the holy name and someone doesn't want it. And what will happen? That person may or may not become devotee, but definitely our own, we are doing an aparadha to the holy name. So we have to really understand the patra to who we are giving this to. The 10th offense to the holy name is to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions in this matter. Hands up if you have material attachments even after hearing so many instructions in this matter. We need to constantly hear Krishna Katha. Today morning also I put on a lecture by one of the saints in ISKCON who was talking about the art of forgiveness. So when I was hearing, I was just meditating. It was so beautiful to hear that class. Okay. So immediately the instructions of a saintly person lift us from all our problems. So whenever you have jagada or lafada with some devotee, then I sincerely suggest you hear lectures which are on the theme of art of forgiveness. So we should know, we can even choose these lectures that keep. We know what are our problems, right? We know our anarthas best. Who knows? We know. The world we can hide it from. We know. So we can ourselves choose our dosages of lectures which we need to hear based on our specific anarthas like that. So it immediately puts us on the transcendental program. So therefore, if we have our material attachments can only go by constantly hearing Krishna Katha. There is no other alternative. If the hearing goes down, then material attachments come back. Sood samed vapas aata hai. You know what is sood samed?
Interest.
Yeah, including interest it comes back. Compounded rate of interest. Material desires will come back if we are not constantly hearing. So hearing is very important. Hearing gaya, to sab gaya. What is that song? Tum gaye, sab gaya. There was one song like that in Hindi. कौन सा मूवी था? माचिस. So hearing gaya, sab gaya. That is what we have to really understand. That if we don't hear, we should really think. If we have problems in life, that means we are not hearing. 99% it will be the case. Rarely will someone be hearing very sincerely, attentively, trying to meditate, and then he cannot surmount his problems. ऐसा नहीं हो सकता. We are hearing. Otherwise, small problems can also bother us too much if we are not hearing. So hearing is the way of reducing material attachments. What is that verse? तत् श्रद्धाधान विवर्तमान विरक्ति मन्यात्र करोति पुंसम हरेर पाद अनुस्मृति निर्वृतस्य समस्त दुख अप्ययम आसुदत्ते. Okay, what is the translation?
By hearing faithfully.
By hearing faithfully, what happens in the association of devotees? Viraktim. Virakti means what? Detachment comes. What all comes? Some three things come. Hare Pada Anuspati Niravatasya Samasta Dukha Apyayam Asadatte. Three. Correct.
Yes, see, just like eating nourishes.
Eating nourishes.
Similarly.
So hearing will give detachment, basically. That is the message. Okay. Hearing will give detachment, and the same hearing will also give love. Because we cannot have love of God without having detachment. So पहला detachment आता है, फिर love आता है. श्रद्धा रतिर भक्तिर अनुक्रमिष्यति. Which is that verse? I forgot. सतम प्रसंगाद मम वीर्य संविद भवन्ति हृत्कर्ण रसायन कथा तद जोशनाद आसु अपवर्ग वर्तमनि श्रद्धा रति अनुक्रमिष्यति. Anukramishyati means anukramanika in Sanskrit means what? Index. We used to write in our school textbook. Anukramanika. Index. It will come in that serial order. Shraddha, Ratir and Bhakti. Faith will come, then taste will come, and then finally love will come in that order. But by hearing in the association of devotees. Bhavanti hrit karna rasayana katha. Karna means what? Yes. Rasayana katha, which means what? Nectarian pastimes of the Lord. And asu apavarga vartmani. Asu again means what? Quickly. Quickly what will happen? Apavarga vartmani. Apavarga vartmani means transcendental platform. Quickly one comes to the transcendental platform when one hears Krishna Katha. And then faith develops, taste builds, bhakti comes. Very powerful verse. Which can you tell the Srimad Bhagavatam which verse? It's a good verse to by heart. Very, very powerful. One of my favorite verses.
Which one, Prabhu?
Satam prasangad mama virya samvida. I don't know which context it comes under. I forgot. Bhagavatam. Anyway. Okay, so that is the way of overcoming material attachments. 3:25:25. Okay. Beautiful verse this is. If you have time, you can buy it. Okay. So this is the 10. And finally, it is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Okay. So sometimes are we inattentive in chanting? Hands up if you are sometimes inattentive in chanting. That's why I didn't also raise my hand. I wanted to see who is the person who is raising hands. Who is sometimes only inattentive. Glorious are those people who are sometimes inattentive in chanting the holy names of the Lord. Because most commonly, glorious are those people. More are those people who are sometimes attentive. Hands up if you are mostly inattentive while chanting the holy name. Mostly inattentive.
We've got another guy. Always inattentive.
Always inattentive. Okay. So that is our number one problem. Now, inattentiveness in chanting comes because of what? Lack of taste. Because of what? Lack of hearing. फिर से उधर ही आया. घूम फिर के everything comes to hearing only. If we are not hearing, there is no other way. If you are not hearing regularly, there is no other way. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success. So that is how Prabhupada is also ending the purport. Which is Krishna Prem is added when we say Prabhupada is ending that. So that is chapter 8. So now chapter 9. Chapter 9 is called as Further Consideration of Devotional Principles. Further consideration of devotional principles. So we'll try and complete this chapter. There's a lot of information in this chapter. So the first point Prabhupada makes, this is over and above the offenses. What all should be done? So offenses are to be avoided. And there are things which are pravritti and there is nivritti. Things to be followed and things to be avoided. However, in this chapter, again, one aspect of nivritti is there. All others are pretty much pravritti. In this particular chapter, further consideration of devotional principles. That is chapter 9, which is written on the board. I believe I wrote that.
Yes.
So, the first one Prabhupada says is blasphemy. That's the only thing which should not be done. But all others are pretty much that which should be done. Okay. So, Prabhupada writes that when you hear a devotee blaspheming another devotee, there are three responses which we can choose from. What are the three responses we can choose from?
Cut his tongue.
Which is not possible today.
Cut his tongue.
Yes.
इधर तो नहीं लिखा है. अच्छा, devotee blaspheming a devotee. No. Somebody is blaspheming a devotee. He may be devotee, it's not specified here.
Leave the place is the last choice.
Leave the place is the last choice.
Three things are there. One is leave the place, but that's the last choice. Second choice is what?
Give your life.
Give up your life. Okay. And the first one is what? Defeat.
Brahmana.
Yeah. Defeat someone. Defeat that person who is blaspheming that devotee. But usually, when some devotee is blaspheming another devotee, our consciousness in that we like to hear that Vanda. मजा आता है सुनने में. क्यों? That is our mind, no? क्या हुआ? कुछ लफड़ा है क्या? क्या हो गया? उन्होंने उनको गाली दिया. Correct? मजा आता है. That is our problem. In Vanda we get thrill. In gossip we get some kind of a pleasure, some kind of excitement is there. In hearing lafda between people. Correct? खबर, news. कुछ तीखा खबर है आज congregation में. Correct? So this is because years of there is no taste for the Lord's holiness. Therefore, the taste has to come somewhere else. Correct? What is that verse? तद्वक् विसर्गो जनताग विप्लवो यास्मिन् प्रति श्लोकम अबद्धवती अपि तस्य यशो अंकितानि यत् शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृह्णन्ति साधवः. On the other hand, what is that? No, where is that? न यत्र हंस, what is that? न यद् वाचः चित्रपदां हरेर्यसो पवित्रं प्रगृह्णानि कर्हि चेत् तद् वायसं तीर्थम् उशन्ति मनसा न यत्र हंस Niramanta Ushikshaya. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto. Narada Muni's instructions on Vyasadeva. When Vyasadeva is despondent, when he has, why is Vyasadeva despondent? Because Narada Muni is telling him, you have failed to glorify. Tune Vedas likha. You wrote Vedas, you wrote commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, but you have failed to glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That literature which fails to glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead is rejected by all saintly personalities. But that literature, even if imperfectly composed, is glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is accepted by all transcendental personalities. Shrinvanti, Gayanti, Grinanti, Sadhavaha. वो लोग गाते भी हैं, सुनते भी हैं, साधु लोग. But also it is written that people who have lower taste, they go, what is that? Vayasam Tirtham, means a place of pilgrimage for the crows. Okay, so our crow-like mentality gives us taste for congregational gossip. So our mind like a hums, what is not hums? Vayasam Tirtham. Hamsa, the Hamsa Duta personality, the swans, they go and like to take nectar. But the crow-like personalities, and inside us we have both. It's not that we should not be too tough. There is swan also inside, which likes to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. But there is a crow is also there. That crow-like personality likes to, कुछ है क्या तीखा खबर है कुछ congregation में, किसी का लफड़ा हुआ है किसी के साथ. That is the problem. So, therefore, when somebody is blaspheming someone, then sometimes there is some excitement which also is experienced in that. Especially अपना भी जमता नहीं उसके साथ, अच्छा हो बराबर उनको सजा मिल गया उनका, माता जी आपने वो काम किया जो मैं करना चाहती थी, और प्रभु जी आपने वो काम किया जो मैं करना चाहता था. Let me not target the Mataji. Mataji are angry at me. I'm just saying. But sometimes all this, because why? Because at least men are mostly scattered. But many times these things come when devotees are doing service for many years together. All these lafdas happen. उन्होंने मेरा flower चुराया, something like that. It all starts like that. मेरा basket किधर तो गुम गया हमको बुलाया है नहीं सर्विस के लिए, something like that. So because of these things, because we don't have taste, then we have these lower taste, because we are not happy in the concept of service to the Lord. We are not happy serving the Lord. So sometimes our mind is also like gossip. So therefore there are three things. When we hear someone blaspheming another devotee, we should be able to defeat that, or we should give up our life. It is said. Not recommend it. Anyone does that here. Okay, don't take it so seriously. Take it seriously, but don't take it literally. Or third is what? Just go out from that place. It happens many times. So the next item onwards, now in this chapter, comes for further consideration of devotional principles, is all about things which must be done. The first is tilaka and tulsi beads. A devotee must apply tilak and must have kantimala, tulsi beads. So it is mentioned that wherever tilak and tulsi beads are applied, then that becomes Vaikuntha. So before we go to the altar, even even now you can do it. It's not that only Brahmin initiated devotees must do that. Many devotees do that even now. Every time when we go for deity worship, then we always apply tilak at how many parts of the body? 12. Here, 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 and here. This is where you will put the Vaishnava marks. Alright? So it is said that one must adorn one's body with the Vaishnava marks. So it is said that if that happens, then Yamadutas will not come near you. The presence of these items makes the whole world purified, and anywhere they remain, they make that place as good as Vaikuntha. The Padma Purana mentions a person whose body is decorated with the pulp of sandalwood with paintings of the holy names of the Lord is delivered from all sinful reactions. After his death, he goes directly to Krishna Loka. Actually, when I was reading this, I was considering tattooing my body. There are many devotees who have tattoos all over their body. Hare Krishna Mantra. Like that. I don't know whether it's allowed. एक ही बार tattoo करते हैं फिर. Of course, it should not be done out of laziness for applying the silk. But at least, when that third and final call comes for death, that time, we may not have time to apply tilak. So at least Yamaduta will see the tattoo on our body. I was thinking like that. I don't know whether it's right. I have to validate this with someone.
Actually, I think it is there.
What?
Not tattoo, but
Some paper paint marks is there, no? I read somewhere, yeah. So, because many devotees have done that.
Somebody asked this question to Sankarshan Sadhikari.
Yeah.
They said, you don't need
Ah. But every day, it's a good idea to apply. Anyone applies every day? I also apply. But what I do is I apply water tilak. You can't go to office with, at least presently I don't have the courage to go to office with full tilak like that. But I apply water tilak every day and all over the body like that. Yeah.
I was just reading today only that even if you apply only chandan, not gopi chandan, it's actually not considered
It's not considered?
to be auspicious.
Okay. It's only gopi chandan.
So, yeah, only gopi chandan has to be applied, and that too also if you do tattoo and all that, I don't think so it will be.
When I was in US and I had a great desire to apply this tilak, but I didn't know it was gopi chandan. So I had this chandan in my house, no? That where you do that. What is that chandana pela we call it as, no? So like that you take the rudrani and then you grind it like that. And then I didn't know how these devotees apply. So what I did was that agarbatti ka piche wala part hai na, I used to dip that and I used to, and in Yamuna I said, kya hai, aadha ghanta lagta hai like dip like that. I didn't know, and then someone did like this and I thought, wow, aisa hota hai kya? And now though we have a template. So it is even more easier. Anyway, so the point is, anyone had a question here? Someone raised hand here or no? Okay. So please apply. We are all recommended to apply. Tilak.
I wanted to add up point here. I heard a lecture wherein Prabhu was mentioning about Tulasi Mahatmya in this regard. So what of Tulasi being it's so specious, but it will deliver you directly to Vaikuntha. So anyone who worships Tulasi is considered to be as equal to worshipping Vaikuntha.
Correct. Yeah. But if your Bhaktivedanta Krishna members asks you, can I wear this? Then you be careful. This cannot be worn indiscriminately. Like people who are eating onion, garlic and tea, coffee and all. Okay. There has to be some respect which has to be given to this. So we have to understand the standing of the person. And then only this can be worn. I understand this can be bought in $2 or $5. I don't know what is the price of this, but it's much more than that. Tulsi, when it goes here, then non-prasadam should not go down that throat.
How about Narshinga Kavacha?
Pardon?
How about Narshinga Kavacha?
Narshinga Kavacha, yeah, can be put. Accepting flower garlands. That is the second part. So first is what? Tilak and Tulsi beads. Then accepting flower garlands. That's it. Tulsi beads, sorry, I forgot. Even for chanting, for new people, we don't recommend them buying Tulsi beads. So they can use neem beads. And then when they are relatively stable, they can respect, then we tell them, okay, abhi aap Tulsi beads mein chant karo. Accepting flower garlands. So it is mentioned in Skanda Purana, Lord Brahma is telling Narada, my dear Narada, anyone who puts on his neck the flower garland, which was formerly used by Krishna, becomes relieved from all disease and reactions to sinful activities, and gradually he is liberated from the contamination of matter. So one must accept flower garlands. Many times we have seen when someone tries to give the garland, this is what we do, okay, and we think we are very humble, okay, but actually we should accept the garland of the Lord. It doesn't mean we are accepting the garland of the Lord. That means, we are a senior devotee. No, it doesn't mean like that. So we accept the garland of the Lord as the prasada of the Lord, and then immediately we remove and pass it on. So it should not be thought that somebody is giving us a garland means it's a reward for our devotional accomplishments. It doesn't mean like that. Because we think like that, therefore we reject it. The problem is in our thinking. If we don't think like that, then we can conveniently accept it. We don't have to overreact and be affected, when these things are offered. Someone offers, take it. If Maharaj offers and puts the garland, today also, our Sankarshan Nitai Prabhu took the garland and put it in Vignesh Prabhu's, so he accepted gracefully. That is the way we accept, and then we give it to others also, because the devotee is always merciful, gives it to others. Whatever you get, give it to others, especially if it is non-consumable item. Isn't it? Otherwise only one rasgulla is there. Obviously. If it's non-consumable, we can give it with humility. Huh? Okay. So in Skanda Purana it is written like that. Okay. Now, there are so many activities which are written here. Many activities are going to be rattled off very fast in the next 45-50 minutes. But the way of this is my view. I'm not saying that you should subscribe to this view. I found it very easy to remember all these things because recently in Bhaktivedanta we studied this verse. That this is a very, very 3 sets of powerful verses. I recommend that all of you by heart these verses. We just recently studied these verses as a part of 9th canto. Anyone knows from where these are who have not studied it recently? Correct. This is Ambarish Maharaja's the 3 key verses which talk about why Ambarish Maharaj was so dear to the Lord. So hands up if you want to be dear to Lord Krishna. You don't want to be dear to Lord. Okay. So if you want to be dear to Lord Krishna, if you want Sudarshan Chakra to protect you from the onslaughts of this material world, pretty much like Ambarish Maharaj had, then we have to do what Ambarish Maharaj did. And what did Ambarish Maharaj do? What is written in this board? So these are the activities he did. So this pretty much encapsulates everything that is mentioned here. That is why it was a strange, one sense it was a nice coincidence. We studied this and that is what this whole chapter is about. So we will read this verse together. Savai Manak Krishna Vachamsi Vaikunta Gunanu Varnane Mandira Marjanadishu Akara Sat Kathodaya. Okay. So first is what? And Savai Manak Krishna Padaravindaya. So what did Ambarish Maharaj do? What is the first thing that he engaged? Man. Man ko engage kiya unhone. In what? In always remembering, meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord. Okay, so it's very easy to remember. Even if you can't remember the Sanskrit, by going through this, if you remember the English, that's good enough. The mind should be engaged in meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord. Savai Manak Krishna Padaravindayo. This is first item. Second item is what? Vachamsi Vaikunta Guna Anuvarnane. Which means what? Always glorify. Uvacha. It comes from the word Uvacha. Sanjayu Uvacha means Sanjay spoke. So you are using your words in describing the glories of the Lord. That's what Ambarish Maharaj did. So he engaged his mind, he engaged his words, speech. And always glorifying describing the glories of the Lord. Which means what? How can you do that always? Practically, how can we do that? You have to also think, it's not just about violating the verse. By giving classes. That is an opportunity to glorify the Lord by preaching. And preaching is not about, impressing the world with our knowledge. Preaching is all about glorifying the Lord, and then our enthusiasm to glorify Him also affects others in a positive way. That is preaching actually. Okay, so Vachamsi Vaikunta Guna Anuvarnana. Always describing the preaching need not be always from a pedestal or a dais or a vyasasa. You can do it in office. So use all opportunities whenever possible to glorify the Lord. And what is the third item? Karau Hare Mandira Marjana Desho. Everyone knows Gundicha Marjan. The word comes from that. Mandir ka Marjan Karna. Kiska Mandir? Hari. Karna. Karau. Okay, so it's very easy to remember. Karau Hare Mandira Marjana Desho. So always clean. Take any opportunity to clean the Lord's temple. At home, we use it to every day clean the altar of the Lord. Right? In the temple, we use it. We can take up many services. There are many people who take up services of cleaning the courtyard. Especially someone who is upcoming or new in Krishna Consciousness. These are wonderful services. Not that others should not do it. Please do not think that now we are too senior to do courtyard cleaning. That is a glorious service. Okay, nobody is too senior to do that. But if you are having higher services in the temple and you may not have time to take up, obviously ideally everyone wants to do every service. But then this is a very good service, especially in the initial stages when the persons cannot otherwise go to the altar or do wet side, dry side, all those services. Anyone can clean the courtyard with a broom. That is a very glorious service. So that somebody, Mandira Marjana Desho. In one of the yatras that we attended, Vrindavan Yatra, last year, His Holiness Radhanath Swami was mentioning the glory of one devotee whose name I forgot. Anyone remembers this devotee? One Vrajavasi who was always doing He left his body. Please, anyone can remember I have a very bad memory. Short-term memory. I have told this to you all. Yes. So this devotee, I forgot the name. Krishna. Okay. Should remember the names of such devotee at least, no? That's an name. Shows the contaminated state of mind. Okay. So this devotee he became a great singer in Vrindavan. Very good devotee of the Lord. He was one of the, wherever, the best singing is required, he used to be called. Forgot his name. Mataji, aapko yaad hai? You know who I am talking about, na? Maharaj spoke about. Huh?
I cannot recollect.
You cannot recollect, huh? Huh? He was singing on the radio also, like that. He was such a mellifluous voice. So it was like a, much more than a Gandharva singing. It was like that. So he was a very, very popular, famous devotee. These devotees had only one desire in his life, which he did every single day of his life, unless he was not there. That is to sweep the steps leading up to Man Mandir, Barsana. That was his life ka goal. That Radharani, aapka mandir ka marjan, I do. And then he left this body while doing that service. That was his desire, and Radharani fulfilled that desire of his. Karo Hare Mandira Marjana Dishu. Though he was adept at so many other services, this devotee was doing this also. I really, really wish I could remember the name of this devotee. Okay, so Brahmachari. What Brahmachari? Yes, his second name was Brahmachari. Some Brahmachari. Okay, so Savai Mana Krishna Padara mind, then Vachamsi Vaikunta Guna Anuvarnane. Describing the glories of the Lord. Karo Hare Mandira Marjana Dishu. Means engage your hands in cleansing the temple of the Lord. In cleansing the temple of the Lord. And then the fourth one is Shrutim Chakara Sat Achyuta Sat Katodaye. Which means Shruti. Hearing two types of things. Hearing words which are spoken by the Lord, or words which talk about the Lord, which is none other than Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. What is the difference between Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam? Bhagavad Gita are the words spoken by the Lord, and Srimad Bhagavatam are the words spoken about the Lord and his devotees. So these four activities Ambarish Maharaj did. Engage his mind in, all of you have to recap. I know the verse. It's for you. Engage his mind in meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord, engaging the words in, engaging the hand which is a part of the body in the Lord's temple, and if you can't remember this, remember BMW car, which everyone will remember. Okay. Body, mind and words. Okay. Engage the body in cleaning the Lord's temple, engage the mind in remembering the lotus feet of the Lord, engage the words in glorifying the Lord, and constantly hearing about BMW. So it is easy. If you have these things, then it's easy to remember something. Then what further did he do? Mukunda Lingalaya Darshane Drisho. Linga means what? The deity form of the Lord, of which who is the Lord? Lord is now referred to here as Mukunda. There are different ways in which the Lord is mentioned in these verses. Mukunda Lingalaya Darshane Drisho. So, going to the temple and taking darshan of the Lord. Either going to the temple or going to the holy places of pilgrimage and taking darshan of the Lord. Going to the holy dhams and seeing the holy dhams. Engage your eyes in seeing these things. Mukunda Lingalaya Darshane Drisho. What's the next one? Tad Vritya Gatra Sparshe Anga Sangamam. Which means engaging Sparshe. Sparshe means touching the bodies of the devotees. Okay. Which typically means taking the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord. Sparshe Anga Sangamam. Obviously, Prabhuji is for Prabhujis and Mataji is for Matajis. Not any indiscriminate Anga Sangamam. So you have to be very careful while understanding the import of these things. Better way is what? Hare Krishna. You don't need to hug and all. And we need to be very careful also. Not only, even with, sometimes with children we need to be very careful. Where it is not required, then better, Like that. So we have to really understand. But this, for Prabhuji's lotus feet, it is good. Sparshe Anga Sangama. Touching the bodies of the devotees. Which means saintly personalities touch their feet, take the dust. What's that? So, Ambarish Maharaj did this. Okay. What is the next one? Grinam cha tat pada saroja saurabhya. Which means what? Smelling the flowers which have been offered to the Lord. Which is what is accepting flower garlands, smelling the flowers. So engaging with sense now. So eyes are over. Mukunda Lingalaya Darshane Drishav. The next one was what?
Feeling
Touch. Engaging the hand, touching, cleaning the temple and touching the bodies of the devotees. Now what they are talking about, engaging the nose in smelling the Srimad, that's also there in one sense. Srimad Tulasya Rasanam Tad Arpite. So engaging the nose in smelling the tulsi which is offered, honoring the tulsi also through the mouth. So all these things Ambarish Maharaj was doing. Because he was doing this constantly, Sudarshan Chakra was protecting him. What is the next one? Padav Hare Kshetra Padanu Sarpane. Which means what? Padav means what? He used this feet in Hare Kshetra. Kahan pe? To visit the holy dhams. Padav Hare Kshetra Pada Anusarpane. Then Shiro. Shiro means what? Head. Shiro Shikesha Padhavi Vandane. Means he engaged his head always in bowing down before the Lord. We discussed last time also, one famous personality comes to the temple and doesn't even pay obeisance to the king. That is the weight of the head. The head is too heavy with false ego. Then such a head doesn't bow down. Then what is the next one? This Ambarish Maharaj did that, constantly bowing down. Kamam cha dasya natu kama kamyaya. Which means, whatever Ambarish Maharaj did, he engaged his senses 24 hours in serving the Lord. All his senses were 24 hours engaged in serving the Lord, and he didn't have an iota of desire for sense gratification, for personal sense gratification. Right? Kamam cha dasye natu kama. Dasya is the important word. As a servant he engaged. And then what is the last line? Yatha uttama shloka jnanashraya rati. So Prabhupada concludes by saying, or another Prabhupada doesn't conclude, in one sense Prabhupada also concludes, but the verse itself says, this is the way in which one can increase attachment to or improve one's taste for the Supreme Lord and also get detachment from material things. So if you want to increase, if we all want to improve our taste for Krishna consciousness and reduce our material attachments, hands up if you really want to reduce your material attachments. You don't want to?
I don't know.
There is a blessing you will get here from Prabhupada. No? Please do raise your hands. Understand, but Desire, if we don't have desire, we should pray that prayer we should never give up. The prayer that I should pray to get rid of my material attachments. A prayer which says that please let me pray to you on this, to get rid of my material attachments. That we can do, no, at least. We can pray to pray. Like that. So, this is the way in which we can increase our taste for Krishna and reduce our material attachments. Okay, so, this is request everyone. It's a very nice 3 set of verses. Now that we have discussed it, it should not be very difficult for you to by heart. If you find the Sanskrit too difficult, at least do the English. It's very powerful, especially even for people who are preachers. Very nice set of verses. Okay. So coming back, dancing before the deity. It's written in Nectar of Devotion. It is written, from the body of any person who claps and dances before the deities, from the body of such a person, which shows manifestations of ecstasy, all the birds of sinful activities fly away upward. Okay? It is mentioned, from the body of a person who claps and dances before the deities, all the birds of sinful activities fly upward. So therefore one should always clap and sing. Unless you are playing kartal. If we are not playing kartal, we must be clapping. Otherwise we will be gossiping if we don't do this. Or we will be fidgeting with something. Many times it happens. Kirtan is going on and Hare Krishna. This is what is going on. Today also I saw in Milpar program. Shankar Shanita Prabhu was singing. Instead of clapping, people are, some people are doing this. Like that. This is a monster one. So let us not use this when Kirtan is going on. If you catch me doing that, tell me also. I am not a pure devotee. Alright, so dancing before the deity. Next is bowing down in honor of the deity. Which item is that on the board? Shirau Rishikesha Padhabhi Vandane. The third from last. So in the Naradiya Purana, it is mentioned, a person who has performed a great ritualistic sacrifice and a person who has simply offered his respectful obeisances cannot be held as equals. You might be doing great Ashwamedha Yagya, and another person may be simply bowing down before the Lord, but still they cannot be considered as equals, because a person who is bowing down in front of the Lord will directly go to the spiritual world, not go till the heavenly planets. The next is standing up to receive the Lord. This is not only true for the Lord, but this is also true for a senior devotee. We must stand up. When a senior devotee walks in, then the etiquette is to stand up. Roma Harshana Sutta. What is that? He lost his head. His head was chopped off by Balramji with a blade of grass. Because when Lord Balram was there, still he was continuing and giving class. Actually, he was giving Bhagavatam class only. Right? But then what is the point here? It is simply what we call in Hindi as bol bachcha. We are talking something, but we are not
practicing that.
Yeah. So children will keep us awake, I think, in this class. Okay, Mataji, they have to be kept quiet. Huh? Again, I am losing concentration.
They'll definitely keep parents awake.
Huh?
They'll definitely
Yeah.
keep parents
Parents awake, yes. Okay. Okay, so we have to. Okay. What was I saying?
Standing up. Roma Harshana Balramji.
Yeah, Roma Harshana.
Practicing.
So Balramji, when he failed to get up, then Lord Balram severed his head, though he was speaking Bhagavatam, because this is the importance of Vaishnava etiquette. So that respect has to be given. So if we are giving class, for example, and some senior devotee is entering, and we have not started the class, then we should immediately ask the senior devotee, would you like to give class? That is the etiquette. Of course, If we are halfway giving a class, then we don't get up from the Vyasasana and stand like this. It should not be affected behavior. But at least within the, if you're halfway giving a class and some senior devotee, at least acknowledge that. Of course, some great personality like a Maharaj enters. For example, if you are giving a class and let's say, His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj is entering the room, then obviously we cannot sit there and, give. Immediately then we keep and then we just wait for further instructions, what to do. Like that. Such a big personality is coming. Like that. Or great, I'm just using Jayapataka Maharaj as an example. Don't mistake me, but any spiritual leader for that matter. Devamrit Maharaj, it could be whoever coming inside. Following the deity. Following the deity. That is also mentioned there. Anybody can follow the deity. This has happened. It has happened especially in processions. Following the deity. Yeah. Urvalam. When the deity is going out, then we go. What is a good example for all of us? Rath Yatra. So follow the car. So that is an important aspect of devotional life. Going to the temple of Vishnu or to places of pilgrimage. So as much as possible we must go for yatras every year. Either with spiritual, ideally with our spiritual master. With our spiritual master, I am not meaning our Diksha Guru only. It could be with our Shiksha Gurus also. So for example, Keshav Prabhu organizes every year. So one can go with Keshav Prabhu for example. Or one can go with one own spiritual master, Diksha Guru, if they are organizing retreats. Or even if our other Shiksha Gurus like Gurujan Prabhu is organizing something in Vrindavan, if timing permits, then we can go for that. Right? So we must go for yatras. Yatras are very purifying. Personally, I can 100% say with full faith, and I am sure many of who you have attended yatras will admit that when we come back from yatra, we are at our Trinadapi Sunichena best. And after some time, the old dog comes back. Like that. So kuch din rehta hai wo. The effect is still there. But it is said, once in the yatra, the question was also asked, Maharaj, after the yatra it is so blissful, for many, many days attentive chanting is done. Then after that we go back to our old ways. And the answer was very profound. It said, no problem, even if that happens, but still deep inside the corners of your heart there is an impression which has been made. That is what a yatra does to you. Does it make sense? An impression is still made. You may not see the effect of that impression, immediately, spontaneously, but somewhere, idhar to kone, deep inside, some instructions are embedded, and they may come surface during the most challenging situations in your life, which you have heard during yatra, like that. So yatras are important. So do not think that because they have because the external manifestations are short-lived, therefore it is, क्या है कुछ दिन में वैसे भी भूल जाएंगे तो क्या फायदा यात्रा देखे. No, not like that. We still go because of those deep impressions which are there in our life. Secondly, in yatras, please understand, it is not only about the lecture which the spiritual master or the senior devotees may give. It is our interactions with some devotees also which may leave an impression with us. Right? Following the deity, we saw that going to the temple of Vishnu or places of pilgrimage. So this is the power of going for yatra. It is mentioned in Hari Bhakti Shuddhodaya, persons who are impelled by pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness and who therefore go to see the deities of Vishnu in the temple will surely get relief from entering again into the prison house of the mother's womb. The mother's womb is compared to a prison house. So people will not enter the prison house if you go for yatra. So, yes, it is not bad for devotees to go to, what is that? Gold Coast. And what is that? Penguin, what is that place? Phillip Island. So, many times I have seen devotees every other week are doing these plans. बच्चों को लेके हम लोग फिलिप आइलैंड गए, बच्चे इधर गए, बच्चे उधर गए. People do that, but यात्रा को नहीं जाएंगे. Time नहीं है ना, छुट्टी भी तो नहीं है, like that. But we have to really understand. There is a, yes, definitely taking children out and all is practical, but it should not happen that it becomes too much. That children are also getting used to sense gratification in life. Then after that, and then they say, "Papa, हम तो न्यूयॉर्क गए ही नहीं इस साल." They मार गए फिर. Correct? So it has to be kept, New York, yeah. So sometimes then we make them so used to all these things, then they think that this is exactly life that has to be lived this way only. So everything has to be done in moderation. So not taking it to extreme. Just because he said that take the children out and don't be fanatic in spiritual life. So the overdose is done over there on that side. That also should not happen. And yatra is very important. So we must preserve our leaves for going for yatras. Like that. Preserve the money. Otherwise all money will go only in Gold Coast. Then where is the money to go to Vrindavan? Like that. Circumambulating the temple of Vishnu. So that is very important. Circumambulation of the temple of Vishnu, which means we will not circumambulate in the cycle of birth, disease, old age and death. It is mentioned that Chaturmasya period, which is the 4 months, it's an exciting time. It will start July, August, September and October. Urad dal can be given up. My favorite Chaturmasya is, I think, September, when milk has to be given up. I follow it perfect. Why? Of Krishna. What do you thought? Why you are saying like? Why you are exposing me? That's easy for me to follow. But with the curd fasting is a bit difficult. Because Tahir Sadam I want. So therefore these 4 months come now. July, August, September and October. Beginning from Shravan month. So it is mentioned in the Nectar of Devotion that during these times, if the temple of Vishnu is at least 4 times, if one circumambulates, then it is akin to have travelled all over the universe, including Gold Coast. So it is mentioned that one is understood to have seen all the holy places where the Ganges water is flowing, and by following the regulative principles of Chaturmasya, one comes to the platform of pure devotional service. So circumambulating the temple is so powerful. The next item is Archana. Archana means deity worship. So it is mentioned by in the 10th canto, it is mentioned by Sudama that heavenly opulence and liberation, mystic power, all these things are available to a devotee who is engaged in deity worship. So the context Prabhupada is giving is of the pastime of the Brahmanas, Yajnik Brahmanas and their wives. It comes in that context Sudama is mentioning. That simply by worshipping Lord Krishna and feeding Lord Krishna through that worship, then one can achieve pure devotional service. Because the Yajnik Brahmanas did not give. They said, okay, abhi tak yajna hua nahi hai. In fact, clearly Lord Krishna and Balram sent the Gopas there to ask for, but they were so, no, let us complete the yajna first. The mantras and tantras and puja has to be finished. Then only, we can give. But the Brahmana's wife, they said, oh, Krishna, okay, immediately, chalo. Like that. Rendering service to the Lord. Kamam tu dasye, kamam cha dasye, na tu kamam. Okay. So rendering service to the Lord. So this is very important. So Prabhupada says, one must serve the Lord just like a king is served in his palace. Right? So Prabhupada says the conclusion is that, I'm reading the important points because I am sure that all of you have read and come. If you have not read, just the few of those who have not read and come, please go home and read. The conclusion is that those who are rich men in society should construct beautiful temples. Those who are rich men in society should construct beautiful temples, and Krishna consciousness centers must be opened all over, like that. So, last time also I told you the pastime of Saubhari Muni. I told that, no? Saubhari Muni, what did he do? He thought, ऐसे जगह में जाके भजन करूँगा जहाँ कोई disturbance नहीं होगा. Where did he go? He went underwater. Okay? And then he started doing meditation over there. But what happened? Underwater he saw 2 fishes having union. When he saw that, his senses got agitated he came out and married how many people? Huh? 50,000. 50. Yeah. 50 wives. Doesn't matter 50 or 50,000. One sense in Kali Yuga. Okay, but 50 people he married. And then what happened? After that realization came. And then what he prayed that, oh my Lord, just a moment of even seeing sense gratification has changed the course of my life. And Prabhupada then writes purport. Prabhupada says, a secluded place is not a safe place necessarily. In Bhagavad, Prabhupada writes that a secluded place is not a safe place. So what is a safe place? Even if 10,000 people are there in Janmashtami, that is a safe place. मंदिर में बहुत गर्दी है ना, इसके लिए हम अलग से घर में भजन करता हूँ. Nonsense. कुछ नहीं होगा घर में भजन. 2 fishes will be mating and we will be watching and that's it. Correct? Like Saubhari Muni. Nobody is there to check us. So it doesn't matter even if the temple is crowded. Better to remain wherever association of devotees is there. That is the only safe place. We cannot do freelance bhajan. Freelancing is only possible if you are a Java developer or consultant. That you can do freelance. Oh, I am not with any company, I am freelancing. In devotional life, we cannot become freelancers. Not possible. We have to be under someone. Ekali Ishvara Krishna Ara Sava Bhritya. Sankarshan Nitai Prabhu told in today's Bhaktivedanta program, Milpar. Krishna is the only master. All others are servants. So we have to be in association of the servants of the Lord. We cannot do bhakti in isolation. So therefore, in that context, temples are established. Prabhupada therefore said, therefore we have established so many Hare Krishna centers so that nobody needs to go to any secluded place. Chalo mandir mein aa jao. So coming to the temple is very, very important habit to develop. And you need to, if you are doing Bhaktivedanta programs, please tell your members also that, no, not that Bhaktivedanta में आ गए ना हम लोग, तो हम लोग अभी मंदिर में नहीं आएंगे, वो प्रोग्राम तो हो रहा है ना घर में. No. We have to also do some austerity, no? Where is our austerity seen then? Mandir dur hai to. One has to, because Krishna has given car, Krishna has given hands and legs by which we can drive. So we can drive and come to the temple. Otherwise we are not following that, na? What is that? Pada Rishikesha? Where are we doing that anga? Then we cannot expect that taste for bhakti should come and material attachment should go. There has to be some austerity which has to be done, right?
Prabhu, and also the Saubhari Muni's case, Prabhupada, mainly because of his Vaishnava aparadha he became like that.
Correct. So Saubhari Muni got well down for 2 reasons. One was Vaishnava aparadha and one was not taking association, trying to be in a secluded place. What was his Vaishnava aparadha? When Garuda was trying to eat a fish, Saubhari Muni snatched the food of the Vaishnava away from him. That was the natural food of. So he snatched. So then he was punished. Fall down. So one guard against Vaishnava offences and then one must also be in association.
And also Krishna Prabhu, when he was explaining the situation, he was telling, whenever you hurt a devotee, each time you are pricking Krishna's lotus feet with the heel.
Good point. Anyone heard? Anytime we offend a devotee, we are pricking Lord's lotus feet with a pin. Like that. The next point is singing. In the Linga Puran, there is a statement about glorifying or singing about the Lord. It is said in Linga Puran, a Brahmana who is constantly engaged in singing the glories of the Lord is surely elevated to the same planet as the Lord, which is called as Salokya. Elevated to the same planet of the Lord. Lord Krishna appreciates the singing of the devotees even more than the prayers offered by Lord Shiva. You have to obviously understand this carefully, otherwise it will make an offense to Lord Shiva. Sankirtan, that is the next process after singing. So, in Chaitanya Charitamrita it is mentioned, a person who chants the holy name of the Lord, of which Lord? Of Lord Krishna. A person who chants the names of Lord Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, okay, can at once counteract the results of actions of more sinful activities than he is able to perform. आप जितना पाप नहीं कर सकते हो उससे ज़्यादा क्षमता है holy name में to deliver. We cannot do as many sins as the holy name cannot deliver. Okay? Priti, are you laughing at my Hindi? Right. No, thank you for not laughing. I'm very conscious of this Hindi. Because my Hindi is mixed with Bombaya and little bit Urdu and Bollywood. I don't know why somebody is laughing. But thank you for not laughing. There are many songs about the Lord's activities. For example, Prabhupada writes, there is Brahma Samhita. One can sing that. Then there is Srimad Bhagavatam, which is sung by Sukadeva Goswami. Actually, Srimad Bhagavatam can be sung also. If these songs are heard by any person, he can easily get out of the clutches of material contamination. Then, Japa. Prabhupada says, Kirtan is for the benefit of everyone, whereas Japa is for the benefit of one's own self. That day when I was doing this Latrobe University program, last Wednesday, not university program, I mean the students, I was doing a home program where they are coming. So one of the students, she asked, Prabhuji, Kirtan बहुत अच्छा लगता है लेकिन जपा नहीं. I have gone through this syndrome. I have gone through many years in Krishna Consciousness thinking that what if Krishna only wanted Kirtan and not wanted us to do this chant? And then sometimes I used to argue also, chanting is Kirtan, no? Because sometimes people, let us chant and then people used to do Kirtan. So I thought, अरे ये तो अच्छा है, मतलब फिर जपा नहीं करने की जरूरत है, you know? What is the problem? Kirtan who enjoys? We enjoy. Japa do we enjoy? Where are we doing things for Krishna's enjoyment? Kirtan, many times we may do for the wrong reasons also. Kirtan में मजा आता है इसे. Either we are liking very much the voice of a great singer, or then we want to, so we can, it gives us a platform to showcase our skills. That is also why we like that aspect of devotional service more. So we have to be very careful why we are doing something. We have to check all the time. Why am I doing something? That, what is that verse? Dharma swa anishtita pumsam vishwaksena kathasu yaha na utpade yadhi ratim shama yevi kevala. So our activities should at the end of the day produce love for the Lord when we do that. Not just, with a view of increasing our own popularity ratings in the billboard charts, like that. So we have to check why we are doing something. And this is true for any service, whether we are playing mridanga, whether we are playing kartal, whether we are doing deity dressing, whether we are doing arti as a pujari. It has everywhere. Consciousness is why am I doing what I am doing. Always keep a check on that. So therefore, japa usually doesn't give any credits to anyone. So therefore, japa is usually इसके लिए कीर्तन में मजा आता है. Japa is the one which has to be taken very, very seriously. Because in japa is our personal time with the Lord. It is a time of intense prayer. So that has to be taken seriously and attentively. Submission. In the Skanda Purana, it is mentioned that those who are sober devotees, they offer their submission to Krishna in 3 ways. Those who are sober devotees, they offer submission to Krishna in 3 ways. Submission is also means what? It's in one sense prayers. The first is samprarthanatmika prayers. And I had given a class 2-3 weeks back, I don't know how many of you heard this, on Vandanam. Yeah. So this was not uploaded for some reason, I think they forgot. So, but it was not my class, so I don't deserve any credit for that. I would strongly recommend you to hear Summer Tranquil series. Just type this in ISKCON Desire Tree and hear this lecture given by Radha Gopinath Prabhu. He is the architect of this class. Of course, I have taken things from, when I prepared the class, I took from 3-4 lectures. Okay. But this is the main one. Vandanam by Radha Gopinath Prabhu. I think it was Radha Gopinath. No, sorry. Dwarkadish Prabhu, was it? Dwarkadish Prabhu, yes. I think it was Dwarkadish Prabhu. Anyway, go to, yes, it was Dwarkadish Prabhu. From his lecture I took. Sorry, I made a mistake. So Dwarkadish Prabhu is one of, one senior devotee, counselor in Bombay. Outstanding it was, whatever he spoke. So I took my notes from there. Plus I took notes from another lecture of Radha Gopinath Prabhu. So I mixed 2, 3. Then I also mixed from whatever I have done my own readings and whatever. And then my own whatever. It was a mixture of that. But you hear that class because this is not uploaded. But there, I was mentioning there that the Samprarthanatmika prayer is one type of prayer. Second is Dainya Bodhika prayers. And third is Lalasamayi prayers. Samprarthanatmika prayers is what? Offering prayers very feelingly. Not Namo Mahavadana Krishna Prabhupada Krishna Gaurav Krishna Jai Shri Krishna Prabhu Gaurav Krishna Ram Ram Ram. This is one type of prayer. There is no feeling in this prayer. What is there in this prayer? There is compliance. Right? There is no feeling. Most of our prayers are compliance prayers. ठीक है आया मैं बोल दिया पहले जय कृष्ण हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु गोपीचंद्र राधा कृष्ण सब जगह आ रहा हूँ भाई आ रहा हूँ है क्या प्रसाद ऊपर it was almost like that one upstairs so compliance prayers so not to do like so this is some prarthanatmika there is prarthana there is feeling in the prayer usually it is when we are full or days of fasting then we can do some prarthanatmika prayers bhuko pet bhajan nahi bolte na like that stomach is full and the senses are satisfied sometimes then we have time to do some prarthanatmika prayer when we are not in a hurry to go somewhere or when life mein band baja hua hai then we can do some prarthanatmika prayers then the last thing we are thinking of is prasadam suppose boss says 1 week retrenchment is going on we are looking at you also some prarthanatmika prayers very feelingly we will pray to the Lord oh Krishna there is no other sunlight except you nahi to baad mein aayega and then when they say no your turn is not now then again back to Namo Adana Krishna Prabhupada Krishna Gaurav Krishna this is how we are at least I am like that I don't know if others are like that sorry if I am comparing all of you to me but this is how it is our mind is like that Dainya Vodika humbly submitting oneself like that not like walking like this with a cut t-shirt not like that what kind of prayer is that the muscles are rippling from the sides there is so there is a mood it can be seen in the body language also क्यों हंस रहे देखा ना sometimes this is a physical but then अंदर भी हो सकता है it's not that necessarily that is the only thing that's one external way when you see like that but there are other ways also where we can come like a king and then the subtle consciousness में होगा that I am the king like that or मैं senior devotee है ये हटता क्यों नहीं साइड से ब्लॉक करके रखा है प्रभु जी आए like that these are all this is not Dainya Bhav and today Shankara Nitya Prabhu was saying without this Dainya Bhav we cannot surrender he asked a question what are the 6 elements of surrender immediately I started saying what is that Anukula Dainya he started ulta he said if there is no humility there is no surrender it is not possible the component is humility yesterday in Bhagavatam class I don't know how many of you heard he was giving class he said we are not humble because he gave a good example he says when we see the mountain from too far what is the little mountain out there we say but the more we come closer to the mountain we say I am so little and the mountain is so big so the more we come closer to Krishna and understand his powers then we will start realizing our insignificant position so when we come in front of Krishna to take the darshan of the Lord then we have to be in the Dainya Bhav only then we can offer Dainya Bodhika prayers and then finally Lalasamaya prayers we'll stop with that there is a little bit more we'll finish it in the next class Lalasamaya prayers are prayers where we are desiring some perfection in our life. So it could be at different levels. For the pure devotees, their prayers are, "Oh Lord, when will I fan you?" Something like that. Or Narottam Das Thakur says, now what is that? Chamara dhula bokabe heri mukha chandra Radha Krishna prana mora yugala kishore. So he's saying Karpura Tambula, he's making all those things, he's praying like that. "Oh Lord, I will make this what is it? Camphor which is scented, this pan I will make for you." These are called as what? Lalasa Mai prayers. Wherein you have that what is called as Tatra Laulyam, a transcendental greed to serve the Lord in this particular way. "Oh Lord, मैंने ये plan बनाया है आपके लिए. You know what? I'm going to serve you this. This is one. If we are not on that platform right now of prayers, our prayers still can be something like, "Oh Lord, let me get rid of my sex desire. It is troubling me. I can't concentrate." Correct? This can be a simple, practical prayer to the Lord. Right? So prayers, but sincerely praying, desiring some kind of a spiritual perfection, because control over the senses is one of the initial steps in bhakti. So at least utna to pray kar sakte hain hum log. Right? So these are lalsamay. So some prarthanatmika prayers, very feelingly offering prayers, dainya bodhika prayers, humbly offering prayers, and lalasamay prayers with some desire for spiritual perfection, which could be some anartha nivritti or a prayer beseeching the Lord that I may worship you in this particular way. Someday I hope that I will worship you in this way. I hope to do so. Telling your plans to the Lord, talking to Him, talking to the deities. Because the deities He's a person. Krishna is a person in front of us. So these are the aspects of submission to the Lord. Vandanam or prayers. So there are 2-3 more aspects which we will see before we move on to the next topic, which is called as techniques of hearing and remembering. Very important topic. So we go there in the next class. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.